Okay, that's one level. If you have one of the eating disorders, okay, then it gets a little bit more complex in terms of determining what it is that you're doing to yourself as a result of binging and purging, starving yourself, etc., or overeating. When I first got diagnosed with type 2, high stress occupation, genetic history, and what had happened was I bookended the day with double espresso mochas, and I was able to fall asleep within half an hour of drinking a double espresso mocha. I'd be in the middle of eating a meal, and I'd be ravenously hungry, and I was stuffed. So there was a disconnect between what I was doing and how I was feeling. And so when the doctor explained, what was going on, I go, oh, wow, this is like being emotionally driven. So what if I switch that up? So part of the positive thoughts and minimizing stress piece, stress is part of life, just like those up and downs I showed you in bipolar. Maybe life is naturally bipolar. Forgiveness means this. And I don't know if I included that. No, I didn't. Okay. Let's do black. Forgiveness means letting go of attachment to anger not forgetting. So here's the challenge. Yeah, they say forgive and forget, but you can't forget about it until you've let it go. And you can't let it go until you let go of your attachment to your anger. When the Klingons say revenge is a dish best served cold, or my Cuban friends will say friamente calculado, like coldly calculated. Okay, you don't get mad in the moment, but you plot your revenge calmly, coolly, and effectively, which is probably still hanging on to the anger. And all right, so great. What happens when your revenge has occurred and it's past, and now what? What's your purpose in life now? You're going to deal with a karmic payback. Nice piece of revenge. Okay? So, forgiveness means letting go of attachment to anger. Okay? And so then at that point, you still have the lesson, but they don't have any power over you. Because essentially, your attachment to anger binds you to the object of the hated person. I was watching this, there is, and you can find this in iTunes, and I highly recommend it even though this isn't an ethnic studies class, but there's a piece in there, in this interview from the Sundance Channel. The show is called Iconoclast. This is from season 2, episode 6. So Iconoclast is pairing celebrities and having them interview each other. And this pairing is Dave Chappelle and Maya Angelou. Powerful. Because he's funny. And she's funny too. But he's saying like, wait, why do they pair me with you? You're Maya Angelou. When you say Martin and Malcolm, I'm thinking Martin Lawrence and Malcolm Joel Warner, but you're talking about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and they were friends of yours, like literally friends of yours. So she was talking about bitterness, because he was talking about why he walked away from a $50 million deal with Comedy Central. People thought he was crazy. He said, no, I had to make this choice where there are people in corporate America that think that they can own you at any price. And great, yeah, I made $50 million, and yeah, the Dave Chappelle Show is the highest selling comedy DVD in human history. So yeah, I'm making bank, but they thought that they could buy me. So I walked away from it. And people thought I was crazy. No, I just wanted my freedom from that. And I already had it. I was already comfortable. Whatever. And so she's talking about bitterness, what it does to you. Okay? Because it's anger. And what it does is it hurts. It's like a cancer. Anger is like a cancer, and it hurts you more than the person that you're angry with. So she said, here's what you do with it. You take your art. That means that you have to have an art. You take your art and you dance it. You speak it. You laugh it. You know, and he did that, you know. He does this like in front of this audience that talks about, you know, essentially, look, I'm not angry or bitter. I didn't go crazy. But he says, you know, y'all think you're white people. But he says, I met the real white people. The real white people are the people that $50 million to them is pocket change. And they happened to give it to me, and they thought they could buy me with it. Those are the real white people. Like, ooh, wow, that's deep. That goes beyond race, right? Who are those folks? Are they happier than you are? No. Maybe you'd like to have their money. I don't know. But
what is the series called?
It's called Iconoclast.
Yeah, you have to spell that.
Iconoclast. And I believe it's season 2, episode 6, and it's Dave Chappelle. Maya Angelou. Like $2.99 in iTunes. About 50 minutes. It's great. Got it on my pad. It's like, yeah. I just got to remember. So when Weston Price then, okay, let's go back to PowerPoint. Thank you. We talk about not just your diet, getting plenty of sleep, exercise, and natural light, think positive thoughts, and minimize stress, practice forgiveness. Oftentimes we eat a steady diet of anger and rage, and that's what feeds our depression. That's why I was talking about that equation about anger, denied expression multiplied equals depression. I did that here, right? Okay. Practicing forgiveness means you don't necessarily forget, but you understand what happened to you in such a way so that it no longer runs you. I can talk about Disneyland that happened 50 years ago and make a joke out of it. All right, so moving on from diet to brains and sexuality, which are often intertwined with diet because they are also mind or mood altering substances and practices. The brain, the organ of the body, and the mind, which is the process, so it's kind of like the brain is computer and the mind is software. So the mind is a pattern-making, pattern-seeking device. Seeks to make order out of chaos or make order where there is no order. Logic, whether you're Vulcan or not, it's a means of reasoning to an answer. The answer doesn't have to be true, just consistent with the logic. Okay, so for example, how does that work? Because you look confused. It's okay. What, you thought that logic was truth? You must have been listening to a philosophy teacher. You thinking of Mr. Spock or Tuvok in Star Trek or the other Vulcans? Logic. No emotion. This is logical. I'm good in math and not so good with people. People are not logical. Okay, so let's look at the Constitution. That is an example of logic. Constitution or Declaration of Independence says, Tommy Jeff said, all men are created equal. And they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Who can vote? Who is considered a citizen in the United States when he's writing that? Every human being? No. Can all men vote? No. So, wait, who is the all men that you're talking about? Because the words would suggest that you're talking about either all male gender people or all human beings, as is the convention in English, right? So the logic says all men are created equal. Oh, that sounds great. But in actual practice, you're not doing that. So where is the disconnect? All men are created equal, but some men are equaler than others and women are below men. Well, where's the logic? Oh, different. There's something else running. So logic is a means of reasoning to an answer. The answer doesn't have to be true. It just has to be logical within the consistency of the logic. If your actual logic is, I'm superior and I want the country to be run by people like me, then you make statements to the contrary so that people will think, oh, it's all free and equal. There isn't any discrimination. All right? So, for example, with addiction, we look at the premise that all legal drugs are safe for all uses whatsoever in all circumstances. Civilians believe that because, as an example, we transfer from one format to another. The slide. All right, so all legal drugs are safe for all uses whatsoever in all circumstances. So this logic, so remember, logic is not necessarily true. It just has to be an answer. All legal drugs are safe for all uses whatsoever in all circumstances. This logic leads to farming or snorting oxys or smoking oxys or smoking spice. Oh, I can get it a hunky-dory. I have to pass a drug test. Therefore, it's legal, there's no law against it, it must be safe. No. So I asked this person, what's the chemical composition of it? Well, I don't know. Wait, so you're smoking something that you don't know? It could be cleanser. You don't know. They're selling it as bath salts, which means by definition, at the concentration that if you're actually using it in your bath, it's not going to kill you. So what makes you think it's okay to smoke? Just because it's legal. Where are you getting the idea that it is? And they go, I don't know. I actually didn't think about that. Why did you think that it's okay to do that? What's the logic? Yeah.
Bath salts. Like, what are they, I know they make people
That's
crazy.
just what they call it. That's a marketing tool.
I know, but I know they make people crazy.
Yeah.
Just how do they affect you to make you go crazy?
Well,
What
in order
kind of-
to,
what is in it that makes
well,
you
right, I know. That's the point,
Why
okay?
does it appeal?
So
I
we
mean,
can
like,
judge,
some people I can't.
We can judge by what happens. Okay, so they're saying that it's legal weed. Okay, legal weed. Really? Okay, the logic's not working there. Legal weed. Well, weed's illegal. So, what do you mean? So, weed's illegal, so how is this chemical in a foil packet legal weed? Yeah, spice.
Is
right.
bath salt.
Yeah, spice is bath salts.
Cool.
Okay.
I see the
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, but they won't tell you what the chemical is in it on the package. So you're supposed to, oh, well, does that mean like it's incense? Does that mean like you put it in your bath and it smells nice? Does that mean it's a potpourri that you use to scent the room? What does that mean? Oh no, it's legal weed. You can smoke it, it'll get you high, and it's legal. It won't show up in a drug test. Okay. Remember, logic doesn't have to be true. It just has to come to an answer. The answer doesn't have to be true. It just has to be consistent with the logic. The logic of addiction, in this case, is I want to change my head. I need to change my head. Okay. Fine. So, yeah. So this particular person went, oh, smoking heroin. That was my peer group. Yeah, we knew it was illegal, but, none of us OD'd, so it must be okay. Right? Then to meth. Then to pot. Then to legal weed. Right? This is all addictive behavior, but they're not seeing it as addictive behavior. Right? Because of the logic there. So, I can't tell you what it is if they're not telling you what it is. But I can tell you from the history of doing this 40 years and, being in the drug using scene since I was 15. So I remember what they were doing when we were using what was being marketed as supergrass. Okay? What they did in the 60s and 70s, what supergrass was parsley or oregano sprayed with liquid PCP, which used to be a pharmaceutical drug. Okay, and the use as a pharmaceutical drug was giving it to women in labor as a dissociative anesthetic. Yeah, I'm not making this up. Okay, this is, I'm not. I'm not. Okay, yes. The use of phencyclidine, PCP, was first in giving women in labor because it's a dissociative anesthetic. So the idea, we thought, this was male doctors now, obviously, okay, who basically said, okay, we just need to manage these women when they're screaming, so here's what we'll do. We'll cut the pain, okay, so that's the anesthetic part, and it happens to have a side effect, okay, of producing hallucinations.
That could be really bad.
Huh?
That could be really bad.
That could be really bad. All right, but, okay, we're cutting the pain, right? And it's an anesthetic, and she's separated from what's going on.
So she sees little double green.
Not just that, okay? That isn't the worst thing. Yes, that did happen, yes. But one of the other side effects is retrograde amnesia. Therefore, she just delivered this baby painlessly, but she doesn't remember the pregnancy. And what is this? Not a great effect for a pharmaceutical drug, right? So they stop using it on humans and start using it as a large animal tranquilizer, because horses and tigers and elephants don't have minds that we have to be concerned with. Okay, so when they started doing that, it made its way onto the street as a street drug because it was relatively easy to make. And so what people would do was spray it on pot, bad pot, or spray it on oregano and sell lids as supergrass. So people are smoking PCP, from parsley, and they're having, these PCP trips, which is a dissociative anesthetic. So you're in a total reality. You turn into a monster. I try and stab you to death, and you're my kid or my wife. But you don't remember doing that. or, you know, the cops are trying to subdue you, you don't feel any pain, so you have super strength so you can, you know, still fight with broken limbs. So LAPD would just shoot you if you were a dust head. Easier to deal with you, right? So again, the logic of, so that's the history. That's why I went off on this whole thing. What is legal weed? Okay? So I don't know if the people who chewed off, the dude that chewed off the two people's face in Florida was actually on spice. They said that.
Wait.
I think it's separate.
Oh, bath salts. Yeah.
I think
Bath
the
salts.
spices
Yeah.
I'm thinking is salvia.
I mean,
though.
Yeah, well, no, it's not salvia because they're selling it. They don't sell salvia at Hunky Dory.